Have you ever wondered what dark secrets lie behind the bars of some of the UK's oldest prisons? In this video, we're taking you on a spine-chilling journey through the 15 most haunted prisons in the United Kingdom. From eerie apparitions to ghostly whispers, these prisons hold more than just history. They hold the spirits of those who never left. Are you ready to uncover their terrifying tales? 1. Bodmin Jail. Cornwall Bodmin Jail, constructed in 1779, is one of the most notoriously haunted prisons in the United Kingdom. This ancient prison has seen countless executions, and its cold stone walls are filled with the echoes of despair and suffering. Among the most famous spirits here is Selina Wadge, a young mother who was sentenced to death for the murder of her child. Selina was hanged in 1878, and her restless spirit is said to haunt the jail. Visitors have reported seeing a woman in Victorian clothing, sobbing and wailing in the dark corners of the prison. The temperature often drops suddenly when she appears, and an overwhelming sadness fills the room. Some witnesses even claim to feel her icy touch, as though she's reaching out for forgiveness, her heart forever weighed down by guilt and sorrow. Her spectral form wanders the prison halls, searching for peace she may never find. 2. Shepton Mallet Prison. Somerset, dating back to the 1600s, Shepton Mallet Prison is one of England's oldest and most haunted. This notorious prison was home to severe punishment and torture, with countless souls meeting brutal ends within its walls. Some of the most spine-chilling encounters involve the apparitions of soldiers who were executed during the prison's use as a military facility. Their shadows move through the corridors, appearing momentarily before vanishing. People have also reported hearing chilling whispers and blood-curdling screams echoing in the dark. The most unsettling experiences happen at night, where the feeling of being watched becomes almost unbearable, and cold drafts swirl around, even on the warmest days. For some, the ghostly remnants of those tortured here seem determined to share their agony with the living. 3. Shrewsbury Prison, Shropshire. Once infamous for its executions, Shrewsbury Prison holds a long history of suffering and terror. Built in 1793, the prison's cells and execution rooms were witness to the final moments of many lives. Even today, visitors report the sensation of someone walking behind them, only to turn and find empty air. Cold spots, sudden chills, and the smell of burning wood often accompany these spectral encounters. The spirit of George Riley, an inmate wrongfully convicted and hanged, had to roam the cell blocks, silently reliving the trauma of his unjust end. Witnesses describe a shadowy figure pacing along the walls or sitting silently in a corner, staring blankly into space. Every sighting is accompanied by a heavy atmosphere, as if the prison itself is still mourning the injustices that took place within its walls. 4. Dover Castle. Underground tunnels, Kent. Though not a traditional prison, the underground tunnels at Dover Castle housed prisoners of war, and the anguish of these captives seems to have permeated the very stone. These dark, damp tunnels were often filled with the cries and despair of men awaiting their fate. Today, visitors report hearing disembodied voices, echoing footsteps, and an overwhelming sense of being followed. The ghost of a soldier, believed to be one of those who perished in captivity, appears on occasion. His face is pale and haunted, eyes filled with fear and sorrow. Some even claim that if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of marching boots echoing through the tunnels, as though a battalion of ghostly soldiers still walks the cold, damp passageways, trapped in an endless cycle of duty and despair. 5. HM Prison, Crumlin Road, Belfast, known as the Crumb. This prison operated from 1845 to 1996 and was the site of numerous executions, primarily by hanging. The gallows, now preserved as part of the prison's tour, is said to be one of the most haunted spots. Visitors report hearing muffled sobbing and occasional whispers from those who met their end here. The ghost of a judge, believed to have been particularly ruthless, is seen lurking in the shadows, his face expressionless and his gaze cold. Many also encounter the spirits of former inmates who were executed within its walls, appearing as pale, misty figures that flicker in and out of sight. Some claim that the oppressive air becomes almost unbearable, as if the prison itself resists any attempt to erase its dark history. 6. Gloucester Prison, Gloucestershire. Built in the 12th century, Gloucester Prison has seen centuries of crime, punishment, and death. Its stone walls have held countless prisoners, and the echoes of the past still resonate through its corridors. The sound of footsteps can be heard along the stone floors, but no one is ever there. Witnesses report cold spots that move along the hallways and shadows that dart just out of sight. One particular cell is said to be haunted by the ghost of a prisoner who died in isolation. Those who enter the cell often feel an oppressive weight and a sense of dread, as though they're being watched by unseen eyes. This spirit is known to make his presence known through sudden gusts of cold air and faint whispers that seem to come from every corner. 7. Edinburgh's Old Tolbooth Jail, Scotland, known as the Heart of Midlothian. Edinburgh's Old Tolbooth Jail was infamous for its brutal treatment of prisoners. Tales of ghostly apparitions, screams, and eerie sights are common among those who visit its remains. The spirit of a former inmate who was executed in agony reportedly appears, his face twisted in a scream that no one can hear. Visitors often feel chills even in warm weather, and some have heard the rattling of chains echoing in the corridors. The cries and screams of prisoners, still trapped within the walls, can be heard by those brave enough to venture close. The sorrow and pain are palpable, a grim reminder of the suffering endured here. 8. Lancaster Castle, Lancashire. Lancaster Castle, used as a prison for over 800 years, holds the spirits of countless inmates who met tragic ends. The most famous spirit is that of a woman accused of witchcraft, who appears as a shadowy figure in the dungeon. Visitors describe feeling as though they are being watched by unseen eyes, with sudden temperature drops and an overwhelming feeling of dread. The faint smell of burning and the sound of weeping echo through the corridors, as if the castle itself mourns the lives lost within its walls. Those who encounter the ghostly woman say her sorrow is deeply felt, a sadness that seeps into your bones and lingers long after you leave. 9. Newgate Prison, site of London. Though Newgate Prison no longer stands, the area remains haunted by the tormented souls of its former inmates. Passers-by have reported strange sensations and eerie sightings near the old prison site, including ghostly figures that appear briefly before vanishing. On quiet nights, faint whispers and distant cries seem to drift through the air, as if the spirits are still reaching out from beyond. Those who walk the old prison's grounds at night describe an overwhelming sense of sadness and dread, as though the cries of the wrongly accused still linger in the shadows. 10. Inverarray Jail, Scotland. Dowa Museum, Inverarray Jail, is said to be haunted by the spirits of both inmates and guards. Shadowy figures are frequently spotted wandering the corridors, and some visitors report feeling a sudden chilling cold, as if someone passed right through them. The spirit of a former warden, known for his strict discipline, is said to patrol the jail, ensuring order even in the afterlife. Guests have reported hearing chains rattling and phantom footsteps behind them. Some have even felt a tap on their shoulder, only to turn and find no one there. 11. York Castle Prison. Inside York Castle Museum. York Castle Prison, now a section within the York Castle Museum, holds an unnerving history filled with tales of crime, punishment, and vengeance. This medieval prison once held criminals who faced brutal fates, and some say that their spirits remain trapped within its walls. Visitors often report feeling a chilling presence in the cells, with some even claiming to see the fleeting figures of former inmates. One particularly unsettling spirit is said to belong to a highwayman who was executed here. His shadowy form appears at the end of corridors, watching those who dare to enter. Some visitors have heard the echo of chains rattling, and others feel a strange pull, as though the spirits are reaching out from beyond, eager to share their stories. The air is thick with an unshakable sense of dread, and many leave feeling as though they've encountered something truly otherworldly. 12. Kilmainham Jail, Dublin, Ireland. Kilmainham Jail in Dublin may technically be in Ireland, but its haunted history makes it a chilling mention on any list of the UK's haunted prisons. This ominous structure held political prisoners, many of whom faced execution or brutal conditions. The energy within its walls is oppressive, and many who visit report feeling as though they're being watched by unseen eyes. Shadowy apparitions are often spotted in the cell blocks, including the ghostly figure of a young man believed to have been an Irish revolutionary. Some say they hear whispers in Gaelic echoing through the corridors, while others report sudden drops in temperature, as though the spirits of those who fought and died here are still lingering. Kilmainham's eerie energy is hard to shake, leaving visitors with a sense of sorrow and tension that follows them long after they've left. 13. Hexham Old Gaol, Northumberland. Hexham Old Gaol, known as England's oldest purpose-built prison, dates back to the 14th century. Its thick stone walls have held countless prisoners, many of whom faced torture or execution. Visitors to Hexham often report feeling an unsettling presence as they move through the dark, narrow corridors. Ghostly sounds, like the clinking of chains and faint pained moans, are frequently heard in the dead of night. One of the most notorious spirits is said to be that of a former inmate who met a grisly end and whose spirit is now trapped in eternal agony. Those who have felt his presence describe an overwhelming sensation of despair and a chill that seeps deep into their bones. Hexham Old Jail is a place where the past feels closer than ever, and the spirits seem unwilling to be forgotten. 14. Lincoln Castle Prison. Lincolnshire Lincoln Castle's Victorian prison is notorious for its haunted reputation, with countless stories of restless spirits. During the 19th century, the prison operated under the separate system, a method designed to keep prisoners in complete isolation to break their spirits. Many inmates endured severe mental anguish, and some say that their suffering left a lasting mark on the prison. Cold spots are frequently reported in certain cells, and the apparition of a young woman is sometimes seen wandering the corridors, believed to be a former prisoner who died in isolation. Her sad, mournful figure appears as a pale outline, lingering just out of reach. Visitors also report feeling an intense pressure in the air, as though the weight of the prison's dark history is pressing down on them, making Lincoln Castle one of the eeriest places to visit in the UK. 15. Pentonville Prison, London. Pentonville Prison, still operational today, has a long and dark history filled with tales of violence, executions, and ghostly encounters. Built in 1842, this prison has held some of London's most infamous criminals, and its ominous atmosphere has left a strong impression on both guards and inmates. Even in modern times, people report hearing eerie sounds, like heavy footsteps and murmured voices echoing through the halls. Apparitions have been sighted in the corridors, and some staff members claim to have felt a ghostly hand on their shoulder, only to turn around and find nothing there. There is an unnerving energy within Pentonville that makes even the bravest visitors feel uneasy. The prison's past seems to linger, and the souls of those who faced the gallows appear to remain, wandering the dark halls in search of redemption or release. Thanks for joining us on this journey through some of the most haunted prisons in the UK. Which story gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more eerie explorations. Who knows, maybe one day you'll visit these haunted halls yourself. Until then, stay curious and stay cautious.